Welcome on in, everyone, to our first episode of 2025 for Let's Talk Utes. Today we're going to be talking about, everything to do with Utah since we've last seen you guys. Our initial thoughts. Landon, what are your initial thoughts on kind of everything that's gone down in the 2025 offseason?
So a lot has happened since our last video, most of it bad, but it's starting to look better this offseason. I'll just take the low-hanging fruit right away. The new offensive coordinator with Jason Beck and bringing his quarterback Devin Dampier should be changing the complexion of this offense. Like, the offense was anemic last year, and I could think of a ton of more words just like that to describe Utah's offense, none of them positive. But hopefully getting this new blood, new offensive coordinator, new quarterback, that can make a huge change in how Utah's offense looks this season.
Yeah, we lost a lot. Lost the names that we came to grow and love. Some people left for some schools that we don't like talking about. Some people went to schools like, hey, good on you, bro. Like, for example, Ken Calhoun, go to Bama, bro. Who wouldn't? Like, that's super cool to see. But I'm just excited for the new guys coming in. Landon talked about Devin Dampier. He's going to be the face of Utah football probably for the next few years if he's as good as advertised. I'm hoping the highlights show that he's pretty dang electric, and I'm excited to have some of that dynamic back that Utah's been lacking for years. And I'm super excited for Utah football, bro. It's going to be the best.
Yeah, I think that's the dynamic I'm most interested in as well. Pretty much the entire team is turned over besides a few key position groups. Wide receiver, we have almost no returning production. Quarterback, obviously brand new. Running back room, entirely brand new. The offensive line has some holdovers, but it's a clean slate offensively. I'm excited to see what Beck can do. Obviously, they had the number 4 total offense, which is yards output at New Mexico, jumping up a level in competition from the Mountain West to the Big 12 for sure. But, Dampier, elite runner, pretty good thrower. We'll have to see if he can improve on that. But, yeah, I think how it meshes is going to be critical because in this transfer portal era, players are moving around a ton. Obviously, Utah's no exception to that. Lots of new faces.
Yeah, I'll touch on something Ethan mentioned for a second, which is the departures. And when I say some of these names, I'm sorry if this is the first you're hearing about it. Some of these guys transferred, some of these guys just graduated, some went to the draft, but key losses on defense we have. Calhoun, unfortunately, transferred. Tanavasa, unfortunately, transferred. Junior Tafuna, out of eligibility. Same with Karene Reed. Vaughn's gone as well, out of eligibility. And then on the offensive side, pretty much fairly clean slate. Singer's not coming back. Money Parks won't be there. Keithy's out of eligibility. Cam's not coming back. Bernard's not coming back. And so those are kind of how I view the main losses. And I'm sure there's some guys that I forgot, but just kind of going over the losses, that's who Utah's replacing this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of the guys, like you were talking about, the key production guys, especially on the offensive side of the ball for the last few years of Utah. Defensively, I'm a little less hesitant to Utah's always been able to retool on the defense side of the ball, especially the big guys down low. So I'm excited to see these guys step up. A lot of guys like Dallas Vakalaki, right?
Vakalahi.
Vakalahi. Just some awesome dudes. We got another Kafusi coming in. It's always exciting. Utah legends. So, I'm just excited to see these guys step up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's start there. Let's start on the offensive side of the ball. As we've mentioned, tons of turnover. A place that I'm really interested there is the wide receiver spot. Obviously, last year we had Dorian Singer, Money Parks kind of as, the top 1-2 punch with maybe Zacharias Williams coming on the last few games of the season. Zacharias Williams, we hoped he'd be on the team, expected him to maybe be the wide receiver 1 next year, but not to be. He transferred during spring, of course. Bringing in a ton of new guys, it kind of seems pretty muddled to me right now who would maybe be wide receiver 1, what the pecking order is there, how they're going to be featured in the offense. But, I think there are some people that I have some faith in. Tobias Merriweather, former 4-star, Notre Dame, transferred to Cal, kind of got injured there. It's kind of been the story of his career. He is talented, he's big, he's fast. He could, if everything goes well for him, be a big target for Dampier, but, betting on health, it's not gone great for Utah the last few years. I think it's safe to say.
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
super excited for in the wide receiver room is Creed Whitmore. I mean, he's a sophomore coming in from Mississippi State. I really like what he brings. Watching his tape, he's just one of those slot guys that just solid. Nothing like stands out to like that is an elite level talent, but I think he'll have really great production. I think he reminds you a lot of Song from New Mexico State. New Mexico State.
New Mexico,
New
yeah.
Mexico.
New
Always
Mexico,
mixed
yeah.
And that was Dampier's favorite target all last year. And so I think if that level of play style kind of meshes together really well, it could work out really well for Creed Whitmore for us in Utah.
Yeah, I definitely think it could be solid, but I'm putting my hopes and dreams. It could be foolish, but I really want a massive season for Nate Johnson at wide receiver. They've been using him that way in the spring. He's going to be mixed in a lot of different passing packages. He's going to have some run plays for him, like jet sweeps. I'm really interested to see what he can do, because having a tier 1 athlete out wide like that, I think it just opens up a lot of opportunity. Because the thing that I worry about with the wide receiver room is like, well, what if they can just guard everyone man and then stack the box and we can't break through that? Having someone just with the speed of Nate, that stretches the defense automatically, I feel, just because even if your corner's pretty good, you don't want to trust someone in just a sprint to a ball with Nate. And so I think he could be a really key piece.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think something that we'll see in the back is definitely more we really struggled with Ludwig last year. We really didn't have anything quick that we could go to reliably, but I think this year we're going to be able to get the ball in the hands of our playmakers and let them hope so, but it'll be at least, I think we'll have a different approach this year.
You're talking about some of our playmakers, getting Wayshawn Parker from Washington State is huge. I mean, he was, I think, the number 1 running back in the transfer portal. Just adding Kim with Devin Dampier, I mean, Parker is definitely more of a pass catch first type of running back, kind of similar to Bernard in my mind. I think that would really benefit Dampier, especially just having that safety outlet every single time in Wayshawn Parker and let him do his thing. And I think if Beck can utilize Parker, Johnson, and Merriweather, I think Utah's a pretty high ceiling, really low floor though. Also, when it comes to the production, who knows what's going to happen? I think we have the tools. Let's just see if everything finally meshes for once for the last few years.
Yeah, one thing I like about the running back room is I feel like we have a few guys that could at least give us like pretty good production. Like I think Wayshawn will probably end with the most yards, but I also really like Naquari Rogers from New Mexico coming with Beck. So we have a veteran in the system already. He's a senior. He knows how to run this. We have someone we can rely on. And then we also have some of the younger talent like Daniel Bray, Shaw. And so I think we're in a pretty good position running back wise. Like, I don't know if we have like a tier one guy, if you know what I mean. Like, I don't think there's a Zach Moss or like a Tavion on the roster right now, but I do feel pretty confident that we have 3 or 4 guys that can go in there, get the job done. They know the plays. And so that gives me like a pretty good feeling paired with Dampier's rushing for like our run game in general.
Yeah, I think the Dampier rushing is key here because he makes it so that you don't really need that, kind of traditional Utah running back where you hand it off to him 20, 25 times a game, which has been kind of the Utah style for a while. Ball control, run it, be physical. Dampier adds a new dimension there. Even, Cam Rising was a running threat, obviously. Huntley was as well, but I don't think either were a running threat to the level of Dampier, personally. So, Dampier, behind this really, really solid O-line could be great. He'll have openings there, I think, for sure. It really is how much we can soften up the box, how much we can stop them from keying on the run that's going to be critical for Utah this year to be able to really kind of match what New Mexico was able to put out as yards-wise last year.
Yeah, we've kind of naturally been segueing, so I guess let's talk about the offensive line now. Let the Glaze Fest begin.
This might get a little dirty.
We do have some really good prospects on the O-line with Fano and Lomu, and then we even have veterans like Kump, Mokafisi, young talent like Garcia. I won't talk too much because I'm sure you guys will have some thoughts, but Utah's O-line is shaping up to be really solid this year.
Yeah, I definitely think that's the strength of this offense. Everything on the offense is going to start on the O-line. You know, Big 12 has some talent. I don't think they have the talent on the defensive line to match up with what Utah's putting out this year on the offensive line. So they should be able to win that matchup pretty consistently, I think. That's the thing, that everything on the offense is going to go through the offensive line. If they're playing well, our offense is likely going to be good. If they're not, we may struggle a bit.
Two projected first-round talents at tackles is just something that Utah hasn't had for quite a while. I think the last tackle taken in the first round for Utah was Garrett Bowles. I think one of the only tackles ever taken in the first round for Utah. And so it's going to be really exciting to see these two guys work out on those edges and really solidify the offense. I mean, putting your trust in Caleb Lomu and Spencer Fano as your guys. I mean, that's pretty good. That's pretty good people to put your trust in for the offense. I think if these guys can do what they're expected to do and projected to do, we're going to be in a really good spot. At least been protecting our quarterback, which is something that we haven't been able to do for a while. I'm hoping Dampier, with his elite skill set of avoiding pressure. I mean, he got sacked less than 10 times.
Like 4 times, I think.
Yeah.
I think it was only 4 times the whole year.
And so it's like one of those things where it's like, add that with an elite offensive line in what Utah has, the sky's the limit for these guys. I mean, that was one big flaw I think that New Mexico had last year, was their offensive line just didn't look that great. At least watching their tape, the highlights for Dampier and some of the games I was able to catch later on after figuring out what was happening, was able to go back and view them. Their offensive line they struggled, and that was against pretty subpar talent in some of the games they played. And so having this offensive line, the number 2 projected best offensive line in the country behind Bama. I mean, Alabama of all schools, they've pumped out everybody for freaking 20 years at this point. So it's going to be really nice. I'm really excited for this offensive line to really solidify who Utah will be again.
One more thing, kind of on the offense. Stylistically, I do hope that we speed up the process a little bit. Utah's typically known as, kind of use the whole play clock, get everyone into their spots, but on the counter side, that allows the defense to adjust as well. I feel like Utah this year, especially with Dampier and his kind of scramble ability, could really benefit from picking up the pace a little bit and allowing Dampier to kind of play a little bit of backyard football, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. So if you guys are ready, moving on to the defensive side, if we want to start with defensive line, I feel like that's a natural kind of segue from where we're at. So my thoughts on the defensive line, we did lose quite a few good players. We lost Peppa, who I was a big fan of. We lost Junior Tafuna. We lost Tanavasa in the transfer portal.
Tanavasa, Connor O'Toole.
Trader Vasa, yeah. Big loss.
So I think what is shaping up for the starting D-line, we're either going to have a mix of Kafusi, John Henry Daly, or Cash Dillon on one end, Vamahi, Dallas Vakalahi at the other defensive tackle position, and then Logan Fano. I feel pretty good about that starting 4. I think it's a bit of a downgrade from what we had last year, especially perhaps in the interior. I felt really good about the interior defensive line last year, and I don't know if we have the depth or the top end talent we did, but I do have high hopes for Dallas Vakalahi. He played really well in UCF, and reports have been good so far. And people are also reporting that Logan Fano, obviously recovering from that ACL tear, that he's back and better than ever now. He's kind of fully back to 100%. So there is reason for optimism, but it's kind of a wait and see position group in my mind.
Yeah, I totally agree with everything you said there. I think that, on paper, with what we know about these guys right now, it is probably a step down from what it was last year. But all these guys are super projectable, It's just we haven't seen it yet. But you can project that, in a Utah defense, they're probably going to do pretty well, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the cool thing about this defensive line is they don't have to be elite. You have one of the best Utah linebacker rooms in the last few years behind them, and I mean, DeMooney, Barton, John Hall, like those 3 are going to be awesome for Utah, and I'm excited to kind of see what their production increase. I mean, reports come out that Lander Barton's been having a steel leg, played with a steel plate in his leg all year, and so like his lateral movement is going to increase a lot. So if you have Lander Barton with the resurgence of John Hall, and then DeMooney he's been playing college football for the last 7 years. He's the Cam Rising of the defensive side of the ball right now. And so it's going to be exciting. So I think this defensive line can really benefit from kind of leaning back a little bit more on those linebackers, and they'll put a lot less pressure on them. And I think that's going to help. They'll be able to like exploit some of that lack of experience, because that linebacker room is going to help them clean up those mistakes so they can go hard and make those mistakes, which is crucial for that growth.
Yeah, I mean, perfectly transitioning there right into talking about the linebacker room. The linebacker room, we lost Karene Reed, which is a very big loss. He was a Utah veteran, super smart, savvy player, just kind of great all-around player, yeah. But there are things to be excited for. Jonnu Hall, I mean, we're all Jonnu Hall's biggest fans. We think this dude's going to be incredible this year. He was incredible last year. So I'm really excited to see the evolution of his game. And I honestly think, like, this is not hyperbole. I think he could be Devin Lloyd level this year, like senior Devin Lloyd level. Like, that's how good I think he could be this year.
His transition.
Yeah, I think he's on that. Yeah, I think he's on that trajectory, honestly. Like, I think for like a few games last year, he was our best defensive player. Like, he was really, really strong. Like, he was quick to the ball. He was a sure tackler. He was in the right spots. Like, I loved what I saw from him, honestly. And yeah, like Ethan mentioned, getting the steel plate out of Lander Barton's foot is going to obviously help his movement. I expect, after kind of a down 2024, I expect a big bounce back in 2025. And veteran presence, DeMooney, obviously. We got some young guys coming up like Christian Thatcher. I think there's a lot to be positive about in the linebacker room.
It's going to be exciting. I'm really excited for that group. I think that's one of the stronger groups in Utah, the defensive side of the ball. I mean, the secondary is great as well. We can kind of go talking about them. What's your guys' thoughts on like the corners and the safeties? We lost, like Landon talked about at the beginning, Cam Calhoun. I think it's a big loss for the Utah. He was that like that dog for that Utah number one corner for a lot of last year. I think he really stepped up. Going to Bama, great for him. I'm excited to see what he can do over there. But like, there's a few guys that could really step up and be that number one that Utah kind of has been lacking recently as well.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see the progression of Teo Johnson at safety in particular, if we're just talking about like all defensive backs. I thought he was a good player last year, but he was a little bit perhaps prone to overplaying or some mistakes, but physically super fast. I still remember one quote that always stuck in my head was after the Oklahoma State game, they were talking to Alan Bowman and he was like, yeah, that like number 15 they had at safety was a really great player, like super fast, could cover the field. And that stuck in my mind a lot because how often like does one player on defense get shouted out by the other team? So I'm excited to see Teo's progression this year, and I think he's set for a big year.
Oh, I totally agree. I think the talent has never, ever been the issue for Teo. He is so fast. He's got great size. It's just learning the game, honestly, and there's really no one better to learn under than Morgan Scalley. So, yeah, like you both, I expect him to have a huge year. The other really like elite safety in that room, Rabbit Evans, really came on strong last year. I expect him to also play super, super well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the guy that I think is going to be the standout on it, at least on the secondary, outside of Teo, I mean, on the corners especially, Smith Snowden. This report's coming out of camp. He's like turned up to another level, and I'm excited to see if that's what that will look like on the field. I mean, if he can be that number one guy on the side of the, especially locking down offensive ones, I mean, it's gonna be really nice. Just having someone that can somewhat be similar to like a Clark Phillips or Jalen Johnson, at least being just we were taking out the one. I mean, that's gonna be so big for this group. I'm hoping that Smith can be that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the reports on Smith are really good. I'm hearing that he's really taken the step, like become a much better defender in man coverage. That's something that the defensive backs really take pride in. That's kind of been Utah's identity. on the defensive backside of the ball. And so, yeah, I'm excited for Smith Snowden to also be returning kicks as well. He'll have some offensive play.
Oh, for sure, as he should. He's so fast. He's got great feel for the game. I think he's going to be a huge weapon that Scally can, kind of like a chess piece, move all across the field, be wherever he's needed the most at the time. Yeah, losing Calhoun, losing Kenan Johnson as well. I believe I saw him transfer.
Yeah.
Virginia.
He transferred? Yeah, okay, yeah.
Zamaya Vaughn gone as well.
Zamaya Vaughn gone as well. Utah did take quite a few transfers in the corner room as well. I think this is kind of a situation where, Scooby Davis probably has one of those corner spots because he played really well last year. And then there's kind of, free for all on that last one by all the different transfers to see who's going to get playing time.
Like the transfers that came in, J.C. Hart out of Auburn, Jalen Monson out of, I'm not sure where he came out. It looks like a JUCO maybe. Let's see who shows up. Furman. He came out of Furman. I'm not sure where that is. Familiar. And then Don Sanders. He's a Texas A&M. We'll see. That's another big school.
Yeah.
And then Blake Cotton out of UC Davis. Those are the big guys, big names, big corners coming out. There's some good size in those guys. I remember when I heard about JCR, I got really excited. Another Auburn transfer corner coming in. I mean, we had good success in that in previous. He's 6'2", 199. I mean, it's a good sized corner. So I'm excited to see what he can do. Maybe he's that number 3. Maybe he steps up and kind of has that same kind of resurgence as like Cam Calhoun coming in. So
it does seem interesting how we do seem to be going for maybe more size at corner. It makes me wonder if, some of the zone that we played in a few games last year, if we're thinking of maybe doing that a little bit more. Because, traditionally Utah under Scally and under, everyone before that was, single high safety, man coverage. But we have seen Scally mix in the zone recently. Like last year especially, we played it quite a few games. So, I wonder if that's something that we're experimenting with or, trying to move a lot of our scheme to.
I mean, just talking about size. I mean, looking at Don Sanders and Blake Conn, they're both 6'3", 190 plus.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
As corners, that's elite. That's elite size, at least for those guys. So I'm excited to kind of see what you're talking about. It's a good point.
Yeah. So now that we've talked about kind of the offense and defense, maybe Ethan, you could go through, give us a pick, on offense to break out and on defense to break out, and then we can move along from there.
Man, that's a loaded question. I think I'm just going to go kind of safe here on the offense side. I think Wayshawn Parker. I think he's sophomore coming in, one of the best running backs in the country last year, at least as a freshman. I really think he's going to have really good opportunities with Devin as going to be our QB1. And so he's going to be my breakout. I'm expecting 700-800 all-purpose yards from him. I think that's pretty reasonable. And I think if that's the case, we're in a good spot for the years to come with him and Devin Dampier as that 1-2 in the back. Defensively, there's a lot of guys I'm really excited about. But again, I think I might play this one a little bit safe. Just Elijah Davis. I think he's going to be super, super strong as that. I think he's going to be more of the coverage safety, have Teo play kind of like a Cole Bishop vibes. That's at least the vibes I'm getting. I could be. And I think allowing him to, that's a corner. I'm mixing him up in my.
Yeah, Rabbit Evans is the safety.
I mixed those two up.
Scooby Davis is the.
I do think Scooby Davis will break out, but I meant Rabbit Evans. Okay. I think he's going to be really, really on that as that number 2 safety next to Teo.
Nice. I can go next with my offensive and defensive. I'm going to go. This is the pick that my heart wants to make on offense. Nate Johnson, one of my favorite players for Utah. Love that. I've always been a big Nate Johnson believer. I've always thought he had so much potential. And I'm going to make the prediction that he starts realizing it this year. Like, we're going to get him the ball in the pass, get him the ball in the run. And I think he puts up a really nice season and he ends as one of our top offensive weapons. And then heading over to the defensive side of the ball, I'm going to go with Dallas Vakalahi. I think that he's a redshirt freshman. I think he redshirted last year. He's either a redshirt freshman or maybe a sophomore. But he only played, I believe, 1 game last year against UCF. And he looked great to me. Just good size, great speed, good technical ability. I'm just really excited. He's going to have a big role, I think, with kind of that opening in the defensive line interior. And so I think he's going to really step into a bigger role and have a good impact this year.
He's a sophomore, just now.
Sophomore, yeah.
6'2", 313. Freaking beast.
He's fast.
Yeah, for me, the offense kind of goes as the quarterback goes. So I'm going to pick Dampier kind of as my breakout player. I think that I've seen a lot of people that really like Dampier, that watched him at New Mexico, or maybe, once he transferred to Utah, maybe picked up on some of the stuff he did. But I think that in general, people don't really know about him yet. Obviously as Utah fans, we've heard a lot about it, but such an elite athlete, very shifty, hard to take down, elite runner, okay passer. We'd like to see maybe a little bit more progression in that area, but I think that if he hits it big, he has a chance to be a star. Like, he's got the college star qualities, maybe not as projectable in the NFL, but I don't really care about that. I'm mainly a college football fan. So I think he could be a star in college. And so, yeah, I'm excited to see how he does. Defensively, there's so many candidates because I think that everyone sees there's a lot of talent on the defensive side of the ball, but maybe there are some experience holes that haven't been filled yet. So I think it would be, for me, let's see. I'm gonna go Fano. I know that a lot of people in Utah are expecting a breakout, but I think that as to this point, he's been a good defensive end, but he hasn't really broken that elite barrier yet, where he's getting that national recognition, carrying Salt Lake City on his back. To me, he's the easy candidate and pick for mayor of Sac Lake City this year.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm gonna choose Fano. I think he's gonna really show out this year.
Over under 5.5 sacks for him.
Oh, I think he'll
gonna
go over 5.5
yeah,
for sure.
Over.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. I really like it. I'm excited for this defense. I'm excited. Nothing worse than last year. I mean, a lot of it's going to be addition by subtraction, at least in my mind. So, I mean, just watching Devin Dampier, he has some special talent. That Auburn game, he looked really great. The Arizona game, electric. If we get anything remotely close to that, I think Utah can be pretty dang good.
Yeah, they'll definitely be more watchable this year, I think. I think that,
Definitely.
yeah, exactly. I think everyone in Utah should be really excited about this season. I'm not sure that we're like a top tier, playoff contender or anything like that, but I think that this is a good team that, if it gels, could be something great potentially.
I think we definitely have a chance to make some noise in the Big 12. Obviously, we'll talk about that in future episodes, kind of like season. But this Utah team, we have a lot of upside this year, and I'm hoping that we can tap into that potential.
Well, anything else, Lennon, or we good?
I'm all good. I think you guys have said everything, honestly, that needs to be said.
Perfect. Well, thank you all for watching the episode. Remember to subscribe to the channel, like and comment. That really helps us get, the episodes out there to you. And go Utes.
Next week, we'll probably talk about position rankings for the Utes, and then also kind of dive more into the Big 12. Watch out for it.